Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast, the place to hear stories of adaptive athletes in the CrossFit space and beyond. I'm your host, Matt Hotho. On today's episode, we're talking with Sabrina Schoenberg. Sabrina was born with a rare brain defect called RES and GLHS. You'll have to listen to the interview to have her name those things and describe them for us a little bit, but that hasn't stopped Sabrina from becoming an accomplished ballroom dancer and qualifying for the 2024 Adaptive CrossFit Games and the 2025 Adaptive CrossFit Semifinals. I really enjoyed my conversation with Sabrina. Check it out. Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast. I'm here with Sabrina Schoenberg. Sabrina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so glad you are on the pod. We got a chance to talk before we started recording, and you are based in Chicago. You're a dancer, a CrossFit athlete, and we're going to talk about how all those things go together. So, yes. Sabrina, where do you want to start? CrossFit, dance, or what makes you an adaptive athlete?
Wherever you want to start.
Let's start with the dance part. Okay. So if anybody looks you up on Instagram, I feel like the first thing they're going to see is that you're a ballroom dancer and like a really good one.
Yes,
how'd you get started in that? Yeah.
So my mom used to ballroom dance, and I would go with her to the studio. Actually, it all goes back to my disability, but I would go with her to the studio, and I would watch her dance, and I would be sitting there. And everyone there was so nice to me and would like take me in as if I was like a little sister or their kid while she was practicing. And I was obsessed with the community and the family. And then I grew up doing like musical theater, like plays and musicals. And in high school, I didn't make my musical, like the High School Musical, and I was devastated. So my parents were like, you can try ballroom dance, not thinking that I would become obsessed. And I'm obsessed. I took like 2 or 3 lessons when I was little, but it was just not make sense for like a 7-year-old because it was too expensive for a 7-year-old. Do you know what I mean?
I actually don't, because I know nothing about ballroom dancing, which is going to be my next question. How is ballroom dancing different from like line dancing that we might do at the club?
It's similar and it's different. If you go to like a social party, we definitely do a lot of line dancing. But think like Dancing with the Stars, like partner lifts, tricks, sparkly costumes, waltz, cha-cha. Yeah.
So ballroom dancing then is a broad category to capture like the waltz, the square dance, but all these partner dances that okay.
Yes.
I thought ballroom dancing. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I thought I always took the ballroom part of it to be so front and center that I was like, oh, you have to be doing this in a super fancy spot with like, chandeliers everywhere. And okay, so that's not.
No. Okay. Like it's similar to CrossFit where it's like, we go around the world and we compete. And when we compete, it's like a bloodbath. Like we compete for blood. Like we hit each other in the face. We're all on the floor at the same time. Yes, we're in like sequined outfits that are very sparkly and have rhinestones, but like it is a bloodbath out there. So there's like, I focus on American style. So there's American smooth and American rhythm. In smooth, it consists of waltz, tango, foxtrot, and Viennese waltz. And then in rhythm, it consists of cha-cha, rumba, swing, bolero, and mambo. Plus, there's like additional club dances like hustle, merengue, bachata, samba.
Okay, so that's so interesting. So at a ballroom dancing competition, then there's like sort of a I don't want to go so far as to say CrossFit, like there's a standard and it's measurable, observable, and repeatable, but there's boundaries to it where it can be scored and it can be evaluated in a certain way, but you all are dancing at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So I have to remind myself that this is an adaptive athlete podcast and not a ballroom dancing podcast because I am fascinated right now and about to go down a rabbit trail. But let's pull back a second. I know, right?
Actually, I know you said you're in Tampa, that there's so many ballroom studios in Tampa, and I could hook you up with like a bunch of people that I know in your area. Actually, one of my coaches who used to live in Chicago is now in Tampa. So I can hook you up with some
Okay.
ballroom lessons,
You
you
know, I
and your
mean,
wife, or
and
just you.
yeah, well, and I've thought about it. One, just to be a good partner to my wife, but
Yeah.
two, I feel like there would be something muscularly for myself with CP
Yes.
to be able to have more awareness of what my right foot is doing, what my right arm is doing when I'm
Yeah.
moving. So, kind of switching gears with a clutch here. What does ballroom dancing do for you with your disability? And then tell us a little bit more about your disability.
Yeah. So I would not be as functioning as I am if it wasn't for ballroom dance. It has saved my life.
Yeah.
It is the reason why I think I'm able to do so much. Because it does use a different part of your brain, and it has taught me spatial awareness and body awareness, and helped me control my muscles and just make me more self aware and work on my balance. And kind of, it's basically physical therapy
Hmm.
that doesn't feel like I'm going to a doctor. And I have the most amazing coach who has kind of tailored a program like for me specifically. But I was born without a part of my brain, so I am missing a part of my cerebellum. I have a condition called Rhombencephalosynapsis and Gomez-Lopez Hernandez syndrome. If I refer to it by RES, that's the like abbreviation, because Rhombencephalosynapsis could not be any longer. And there's like 12 silent letters in it. Don't ask me to spell it. Um, so basically, I'm missing part of the cerebellum, and I am partially blind in my right eye. So it affects me in every single way that you can imagine: balance, coordination, temperature control,
Hmm.
emotional regulation, um, like feeling my limbs, balance. I probably said that already. Depth perception. I have no depth perception.
Yeah.
I can just, everything, throwing it's all of that in the kitchen sink. So yeah, I was the first living diagnosed case. They're discovering more and more now, obviously.
Hmm.
I was definitely not the first person born with this. It is very rare. We have a Facebook group actually of all the people that have
Hmm.
it. Um, I think I was just lucky in the sense of I'm 24. So when I was actually diagnosed, I was 7. And just timing and like when technology
Yeah.
was getting better and all of that kind of stuff with MRIs and SPECT scans, I just happened to claim the title of first living diagnosed.
Yeah, and it sounds like it comes with a constellation of things.
Yes.
And so you joke that it has 12 silent letters in it, which is appropriate because it's kind of a silent disability, right? I mean, I'm looking at you right
Literally.
now on Zoom. And so it's, I mean, I can pick up little things that you're doing because I
Yeah.
live in sort of a bit more of an adaptive space. I've met a lot of
Right.
people, but I can imagine there's people that have no idea. And you probably have to decide today, am I going to say, hey, I'm tired because of my disability? Or am I just going to say, hey, I'm tired?
100%. And I think that's what has been a very big challenge for me, is also growing up, I had no one to look to. I feel like silent disabilities were not talked about, or at least people who were vision impaired were not even talked about. Like I would
Hmm.
look to Stevie Wonder, and he was the only person I had like semi someone to look to, and he could not be more different than me,
Yeah.
like physically looking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that is definitely something that I'm trying to change in the world.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think when people look at me, they don't necessarily see a disability. But if you get to know me and you've known me for a little bit, it starts to come out. But that definitely has been a very difficult thing of like, I'm too normal to be disabled, and I'm too
Yeah.
disabled to be normal.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, sort of, you would pass as an able-bodied person,
Right.
right? Which doesn't always get you access to the things that you need to live the
Right.
life that you want to live. So when you
Exactly.
compete in ballroom dancing, are you in an adaptive category or do you compete able-bodied?
Yeah, so I actually compete able-bodied.
Yeah.
There is technically like adaptive divisions, but those are in like London.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, I kind of love that I'm in an able body situation. Um, I think yes, it has not been easy for me, but it's so rewarding being able to start from the bottom and then like win these championships
Yeah.
against people who are able-bodied. It's really cool. It's also nice. I do have my partner with me, so my partner is my coach, and we compete together. So I do have that extra layer of protection if I need it.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, and it's definitely nice having a partner who is able-bodied who can kind of help. But what
Yes.
are ways that your disability presents itself when you're ballroom dancing? One or two ways that someone might not see it, but you're having to think about it or deal with
Yeah.
it.
So spatial awareness is huge. Obviously, I don't always know where I am in space. Flexibility. I have so a lot of flexibility in my back, but not in my legs.
Mm,
So kicks and splits and straightening my legs, things like that can be difficult. Balance is definitely
yeah.
the hardest though. Is I'll have good days and I'll have bad days. And a lot of ballroom dance is consistency. And I just can't always be consistent. And that's
Hmm.
not my fault, you know?
Yeah. So then what's that mindset like when you've had wins, right? When you've had like championship wins, and then you've probably had days where it's like, oh, my body isn't doing what it was able to do 2 days ago.
Yeah, I wish I could say I'm like, it's okay. Like, look at you, Sabrina. Look how far you've come. Keep going. Obviously, that's what we wish we could all say.
Yeah.
I would say I get very, very hard on myself because I expect myself to always be at number one. And when you've gotten to the top, sometimes I forget that I have this disability.
Hmm.
Um, I think my mindset is when I'm on the floor, I'm just having fun. Everything else kind of disappears. And then when I get off the floor, that's when everything builds up. Did that make any sort of sense?
Sort of. So, like when you're on the floor, you're in the moment. You're taking
Yeah,
in the dance that you're doing, the moves you have to do, what your partner's doing.
right.
And then when you get off the floor, it starts to hit you of, oh, I missed this or I missed that or this
Yes.
didn't go the way I wanted it to go.
Yeah, or I start beating myself up with like,
Hmm.
why was that so bad? Why am I so off? Why am I doing this? But when I'm on the floor dancing, there's nothing in my brain.
Yeah.
I am just living the best life. And also my coach always like is telling me like get your mind right, focus on what you need to focus on. Don't focus on the fact that you have a disability because all
Yeah.
that's going to do is slow you down. Like you got to like keep the blinders on and go for it and get your mind right and that's what I do.
And I think that's true in ballroom dancing. And it's also so true for as a neuromuscular athlete and for neuromuscular athletes in the CrossFit space as well, because we get out on that floor and we start doing whatever the movement might be, whether it's a weightlift or a gymnastics piece. And oftentimes our body is saying, whoa, what's happening right now?
Yes.
And we have to shut it down and go, nope, we got to be in the moment. We got to do this thing. When we get off the
Yeah.
floor, we can deal with what hurts. But
Yeah.
right now we got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you discover CrossFit then in your journey?
Yeah. So I don't, okay. So it's kind of confusing. So in 2020, during COVID, I was still training in ballroom. I was doing virtual ballroom lessons for a little bit, but then I went back into the studio like everyone else. But my college, so let me preface that I had one normal semester of college
Okay.
and then COVID. So I had first semester freshman year and then pandemic. So I never had a normal college experience. So it was second semester and all of my classes were online. And it was literally me in my apartment going on Zoom. And same with my sophomore year, all online. So I would go to dance, like with my dance coach, and I would train in person there, and then I would go home, like the same cycle. And my dance coach, who is a huge CrossFit athlete, he actually was in the Masters semifinals this year.
Nice.
Yeah, he's the best. He was like, you need to do something else that's not dance. Like, you need to
Mm.
go to another place and meet new people and do something. Um, and he was like, try working out. Like, let me preface everyone, he was not saying go work out because I needed to lose weight or anything
Yeah.
like that, because I know that's a stigma in the dance world. That was not what he was saying. More just because he wanted me to try something new, and also movement helps the mind. So I was like, okay, fine. He was like, try a personal trainer, like, because we just didn't know how it would work with like a class setting. So I got a personal trainer at a CrossFit gym, and we just did once a week for 2 years, 3 years.
Mm.
And then last year, and it wasn't even like CrossFit workouts. It was like we did a little weightlifting, and then we did a little Metcon for like 5 minutes. So then last year, I don't know what came by me, but I saw that the CrossFit Open had an adaptive
Yeah.
division. And never once like crossed my mind that I would call myself a CrossFit athlete. Literally
Mm.
worked out once a week. And I was like, I'll do it. Sure. So it's time for the open, and I do it. I do incredibly well. Then it was the semifinals. I do well. And then it was the got to the games. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got introduced to CrossFit. And then I had my eye surgery, and I got a new coach. And I'm obsessed with my new coach. She's amazing. The best ever. Shout out Mads. And now I train like actual CrossFit style, 2 to 3 times a week,
Yeah.
which seems like a lot. It's not a lot, but it is, like, considering how much I do dance, it is.
So two things there. One, I think you're right. Only doing CrossFit 2 or 3 times a week, in the sense that you are a very accomplished ballroom dancer, and CrossFit was never meant to be the thing you just do. You were supposed to do CrossFit to augment what you really want to be doing, right? And so
Yes.
I like that you're actually doing the methodology and more of a truer sense of it. Of I do CrossFit, but really my main thing is this ballroom dancing, and CrossFit helps with that.
Yeah.
But it's not just CrossFit 5 to 7 days a week kind of thing.
No, but I am like, I also am the type of person where it's like, if I do something, I do something.
Yeah.
And I like, if you were to ask me if I would like be obsessed with this, I would have laughed in your face. But like, I am obsessed. Like, I am
Mm,
like, I'm like, when can I do another competition? Like,
yeah.
now that I know that I can do it and like I have the skill, I'm like, I want to keep going. Like, this is obsessive.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's great. And then you mentioned your coach. Did you say your name was Mads?
Yeah, so my dance coach is Andre. He's the one who is the CrossFit athlete,
Okay.
and the ballroom dancer. And he is like top teacher in all of the world for ballroom dancing, and then one of the top CrossFit athletes in the world to me, but probably not in the world. But in the 40-year-old division.
Yeah.
Um, and then Mads is a amazing CrossFit athlete as well. Um, and she is unreal. And my coach, yeah.
So, what are some ways that you and Mads have had to work around your disability as she's coaching you and helping you become a better CrossFit athlete?
Yeah. So we actually met like a month before my eye surgery. So we had to take a good chunk of time off. Um, but I came to her thinking that I was this like CrossFit athlete. So I was like, oh yeah, like I can do all this. And so we've kind of had to like discover together that like I didn't know anything. Like couldn't like I didn't know about any like what any movement was. Like I thought I
Yeah.
did. I knew nothing. So we've kind of been learning together, which has been kind of fun. Um, I think as far as like what she's had to adapt is there's no playbook and
Hmm.
there's no right from wrong. It's trial and error.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times I struggle with things I'm not good at. And I then, obviously, everyone struggles with things they're not good at, but mine is a lot of mental, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like if I try something and I'm not good at it, I get really, really down and I beat myself up and I just like assume that I will never be able to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of like what she's been doing is like getting me to be like, no, you can actually do it and helping me get around that hurdle that way. So it's been a lot of mental coach versus like physical. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
she's coaching me to do the movement correctly. Um, but
But like helping you
yeah.
believe in yourself.
Yes, and I would say I'm very lucky. My dance coach is another person who is a very big mental coach in my life. He is like a second father to me, and he's very much of a like a mental guy where it's
Yeah.
like he, he doesn't take any of my shit and is like, you want to do this, like you're gonna do it like everybody else. Like I don't care that you have a disability. I want you to believe in yourself and you can do it. And like, obviously, he cares I have a disability. But he doesn't want to let me use that as an excuse, which I like. And that's kind of what I told Mads is like, I want the tough love. And she definitely gives me the tough love that I need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Does
That's
that
good. And
make any sense?
yeah, it totally made sense because you always need that in a CrossFit coach, especially as an adaptive
Yes.
athlete, because
Yeah.
our self perceptions are always a little warped, right?
Right.
Good or bad. Typically more towards the bad though, of I'm
Right.
never going to get this. I looked awful when I did that snatch. I looked
Right.
like a moron when I'm doing pull ups. And your coach is going, yeah, you looked a little weird, but that's okay. Here's the thing we can
Right.
fix there, you know? And
Right.
I think that's what someone like Mads is probably giving you, right? That
I
encouragement.
also, yes, 100%. And I also don't, it's hard too because I don't want all of my workouts to feel like they're scaled or they're
Hmm.
changed to be adaptive. So I think that's been something that me and Mads are definitely figuring out too. It's because she doesn't want that for me either.
Yeah.
So I think little by little, it's a lot of trial and error and a lot of repetition and a lot of just ingraining that muscle memory of, okay, this is exactly where my feet need to be so I can snatch this correctly.
Yeah.
Or, okay, if we chalk up the bar, I can see where the lines are, I can grab it, and then I don't
Hmm.
have to think as much when I'm going to lift.
A
You know
hundred
what I mean?
percent. Yeah. Yeah. So
And
you,
taking my time and slowing down.
yeah. And when you talk about muscle memory, it kind of brings up something we were talking about before we started recording, which is the connection between CrossFit and ballroom dancing.
Uh-huh.
You want
There
to go into that
is
for a little bit? Yeah.
Sure. I feel like I could talk about this for hours. But there is so much connection between ballroom dance and CrossFit. I think you have to have a bunch of different skills when it comes to CrossFit. Like you have a bunch of different skills when it comes to ballroom. There's different styles and there's different, like in the 9 dances that I do, there are some dances that I excel at and some dances that I'm like just
Hmm.
okay at. Very much similar to CrossFit. There's some movements I excel at, some movements I'm like, needs work.
Yeah.
But I think timing, rhythm, momentum, it's all transferable. Like I'll do movements in dance and then I'll go to CrossFit and I'll be like, oh my God, Andre told me to do that the other day. And she'll be like, yeah, well, like that's something from CrossFit. And I'll be like, oh, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cross. Um,
Crossover.
yeah,
Yeah. CrossFit crossover. There you go.
exactly.
Yeah. I like it. I like
Exactly.
it. Okay. Can we go to a quick lightning round?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome. So if you had to take which CrossFit workout would make the best dance?
I mean, jump roping.
Staying on the dance theme, what is one thing that someone who knows nothing about dance or is a terrible dancer could do to improve their dancing?
Um, oh, obviously you can take a dance lesson.
Okay.
There's a Fred Astaire in every single state. So shout out Fred Astaire Dance Studios. Find one near you. So take a dance lesson. Or I would say start by learning to hear music and listen to different types of music.
Mm,
And you'll start to understand like flow and just like I think just don't be afraid to try is what I would say.
Okay.
It's just put music on and dance. Like anyone can dance.
And you can probably do it at like any time, right? Like if I'm in the gym and there's just music going, why not just kind of see where the music takes me?
Like just like groove. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's a horrible answer.
No. So then building upon this answer. So if you're in the gym and you can choose what music gets on to groove to, what music are you putting on the radio?
Oh, easy. I'm putting on like 2010s throwbacks.
Okay. Give me one or two of them.
So like old school Jonas Brothers and Hannah Montana. Like
okay.
Hannah Montana is the best workout music. Jonas Brothers, don't even get me started. Or like Just Dance, gonna be okay. Or like Britney Spears, like that whole realm of music.
Yes, I love it. I think that is, I'm inspired.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm inspired. I have to coach the 415 today, and they are getting a treat.
Yeah. There. Oh, you better put just that on. Please.
There it is.
Please. And I really hope it's just like a bunch of like 35-year-old men. That's really what I hope it is. Like really buff, like attractive 35-year-old men, just like having to work out to Jonas Brothers and Hannah Montana.
I will let you know. I will let you know how that goes.
Please.
Yes. All right. So 2 final questions as we get ready to kind of wrap up.
Yeah.
So if someone new to adaptive CrossFit is listening to this, what's one piece of encouragement you would give them?
I would say So I've been in a few situations recently. I know this is supposed to be lightning, but this is not going to be
This is not lightning round. It's okay. It can be a long answer.
Wonderful.
This can be, yeah.
I've been in a few situations recently where I have been told with CrossFit that I don't belong somewhere. And I've had to make the difficult decision of, do I give up or do I keep going? Mm-hmm. And even though I am frustrated because I'm not going to get the opportunity necessarily to go to the games again, or it was harder for me, I decided to keep going. And it's incredibly rewarding, the feeling. So I would say believe in yourself and believe in your abilities. And don't let someone else tell you what you can and can't do because of the way you look. But believe in your own abilities and don't back out.
And then the final question, if you could encourage a younger version of yourself, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that things are going to be okay, that you are capable of a lot more than you think. Mm-hmm. And that it's definitely going to be hard, but you are making a difference in your life and in other people's lives, and keep going.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Sabrina, we're wrapping up. Where can people find you? On Instagram, or do you have a foundation or a place where people can get to know more about you? Yeah.
I do have a foundation and I have an Instagram. But before I forget, you wanted me to mention my jump roping story.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Tell me your jump roping story.
So I learned to jump rope from the musical Legally Blonde because when I was little, I would listen to the Legally Blonde soundtrack all the time. And there's a number of Whipped into Shape where they use jump ropes. So every morning when I was like 6 years old, I would perform Whipped into Shape for my parents. And I learned how to jump rope to Whipped into Shape. And I got my double unders to Whipped into Shape. So, it's just it's a full circle moment.
There you go. Everybody's always trying to figure out how to get dubs, and the answer was right in front of us the whole time.
It is. It's go to Legally Blonde, the musical on Spotify, and you put on Whipped into Shape, and there you go. You can also watch the whole production on YouTube. It's phenomenal.
I love it. All right. Well, where can people find you on Instagram and learn more about your foundation?
So my Instagram is Sabrina Blair 425. And then my foundation is sabrinares.com. You can find it all out there. And basically what we do is we provide grants and money for families who have Rhombencephalosynapsis, which is the condition I have. I feel like I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where my parents were able to provide me with the resources to be so functioning. And I just want to be able to do that for other people. And so we raise awareness about silent disabilities as well. And we have resources on how to help with people who have my condition. Also, so go check it out.
Awesome. Thanks, Sabrina. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Awesome. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the podcast. Towards the end of the episode, Sabrina and I got into a topic that I've kind of avoided for the most part on this podcast, and that's a conversation about classifications and the times that it gets really difficult to figure out what category an athlete should be in. Now, when I think about this, I always try and give Wheelwad the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I do not envy the job that Kevin, Shannon, Leslie, and the rest of that team do year in and year out, and especially this year when they had to reclassify every single athlete. It's tough. It's tough because there's a diversity of impairments in our community. One of my hopes with this podcast is to raise more awareness about the stories in our community so that more people will get connected into our community. I think one of the best ways to make classification better is to get more athletes on the floor and more athletes in front of Wheelwad. The more data they have, the better the classification process will get. And that's a gift we can give them. The more people we get involved in adaptive CrossFit, the better the whole thing will get. So that's my encouragement to you. Get somebody involved in adaptive CrossFit because it will make the whole thing better and help it continue to grow. And if you want to follow Sabrina, you can do that on Instagram, and you can check out her foundation, sabrinares.com. I'm Matt Hotho, and I'll see you guys next time.